Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, the shutdown deal. What's it really all about? And viewer mail coming at you right now. Hey, and welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show. Let's get right at it with viewer mail. Carolyn Constantino says, from Portland, Oregon. She says, hey, DB, what's Thanksgiving looking like for you and the Baldwin boys? Well, let me tell you something, Carolyn. For many, many years, Thanksgiving included the Turkey Bowl. So that was the football game that, would always be Alec would be quarterback of one team, I would be quarterback of another team, and we brought in the neighborhood kids and stuff, and we played this game every year. If you ask any pro football quarterback, any big-time college football quarterback, anybody, the granddaddy of all bowl games is not the Rose Bowl. The granddaddy of all bowl games is the Turkey Bowl. Every kid that plays football plays in a Turkey Bowl. I have continued over the years to play in a Turkey Bowl, even as an old man. I round up some of the neighborhood kids. Now I've got daughters that are in high school, and we get some of their friends and we play. I don't know if I'm going to play, but I'll tell you what, I would rally and get on an airplane to go play if my brothers were all going to play. I would do that. It would have to start out, usually it was Alec, because he was oldest, got Steven, and then Billy and I in the middle to try to outweigh the granddaddy, the Turkey Bowl. So Thanksgiving looks like it's going to be my beautiful wife, my daughters and my son, and Daddy slaving away in the kitchen to try to make a beautiful turkey and have a blessed Thanksgiving. So that's going to be it for me. Family, my immediate family, and my beautiful wife, who is my shining star. So that's Thanksgiving. That's what's going on here at the Baldwin House in Atlanta, Georgia. But I want to get right to, and thanks for your message. Listen, if you can, I would really appreciate this. I try not to ask too much, but if you could hit subscribe and you could hit follow, or you could share it, or you could like the videos, the show, it helps us be able to continue to produce shows and tell you things that I don't think that you get the cut the corner, cut the fat, all the bullshit that you get from a lot of other media sources. I try to tell you exactly what I see. If I like it or don't, I try to tell you what I see. Obviously, I'm a Republican, but I'm open. I'm open. Listen, if you give me a leader, you give me somebody that's right for this country, that serves Christianity, that serves the morals and the beliefs that I have about what's important, and stop just blowing money and sending it out to people that you have agendas with, and so then I'm cool. I'll vote for you. So here's what the shutdown is really about. This is it. This is what it's about, in my opinion. Forget all the other stuff you've been told about how the country is crumbling, that there's no Medicare, people are going to be frozen this winter, people are going to, and all the crap that the Republicans are throwing at you saying, they're doing this, time out. Let's look at what happens in a shutdown. During a U.S. government shutdown, two main groups of people do not get paid for the duration of the lapse in funding. Furloughed federal employees. These are non-essential workers who are required to stop working and stay at home. So this group, we just say, don't come to work. Forget about your circumstances, your grandmother's in hospice, whatever. Don't come to work. Except in essential federal employees. These individuals are required to continue working without pay to perform functions related to national security, public safety, or other critical ongoing government operations. So now we also have another group that we don't care that you're not getting paid. You have to go to work and you receive no benefit from it. You have to go to work. Specific examples of those who continue to work but do not receive pay during the shutdown include active duty military personnel, unless specific legislation is passed to fund their pay. So, active duty military personnel and their families have no money. They're not getting paid. I will add to that subject that a lot of these young men and women that are serving our country to keep us safe have kids. They are younger, on the young side, that are serving active out there in the grunts in the field, and they have no other source of income, and they're living maybe not check to check, but they're not putting a lot of money away. TSA officers and air traffic controllers. Okay, let's put that in perspective. So the people that are there post 9/11, planes exploding into buildings, whatever you believe happened on that day, the plot, who's responsible, planes exploding into buildings, air traffic controllers watching the planes in the sky, and they say, you want to go vector 2798 at 350 miles an hour, please divert over the ocean, and those guys aren't getting paid. So air traffic controllers, federal law enforcement agents, FBI, Border Patrol, so on. So all the work that we've done after the Biden administration to shut down the border, 20 plus million people in this country, which, by the way, earmark this, 20 plus million foreigners that have come into this country illegally. They play a big role in what I'm going to tell you is really the reason for this problem. Remember them, earmark them. In-hospital medical staff, care staff, Customs and Border agents, congressional staff, though their pay is handled differently and they typically receive back pay. So congressional congressmen, congresswomen, and some of their staff, they're running a tab. So you didn't get paid for X amount of time. We'll owe you the money, and when it comes back, they're going to get their money. A significant group who are typically not guaranteed back pay after shutdown ends are government contractors. These individuals, who often perform a variety of services for federal agencies, may lose their wages permanently for the period of the shutdown. All right, so I think you got the point. And I don't know if you've heard this before, but here it is. I'm going to lay it out for you now. The elections have been very close. Let's go back to 16. Trump wins, very close election. No one saw it coming, except me and a small handful of people that I ever heard say, and no one before I said, oh, he's going to win for sure. Just like in 24, he's going to win. He's going to sweep all 7 states that are in question. He'll sweep them all. It won't be close. It won't be a 10-point electoral college election. He's going to destroy her. He did. So please listen when I tell you, this is what I know. Today, I know this to be true. So whatever other excuses you want to hear, whatever other Congress people or Trumpsters or whatever that want to tell you a different story, this is what the shutdown is about. Bare bones. 20 million illegal people came into the country. When they came into the country under Biden, and Biden funded buses and planes to take people to key districts in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in Michigan, in some of those states, mostly those states, that were really, really close. Now, along with bringing those people, buying them and bring them in, 20 million. The whole election was 75 million to 74 million or some nonsense. So 20 million is a significant amount of people. How many of them were old enough to vote? You can figure this out. Think about it. So we placed them in key districts where we lost or where we need a boost, where we want to ensure the fact that by the time we give them health care, by the time we subsidize their income, give them money, by the time we vaccinate them, give them a cell phone, give them places to live and even jobs, by the time we do all that and make it really nice to be here and claim to be the one that did it, they're eligible to vote. They're able to voice their opinion by 2028, where with the insertion of 20 million more, if even 10 million of them were eligible, even half, you would change the electoral vote. You would change what party wins the election by far, like it wouldn't even be close. They would sweep all 7. That's what would happen. So the Democrats are turning around and they're saying, you and I live right next door to each other, and we share a river, and we need that water on that river to feed our cattle, to grow our crops, to do all life, everything, our business, all the stuff, right? We need it. So every time the land exchanges hands, somebody buys it or it's been sold over the 300 years or whatever that it's been in this family and this family, it changes ownership. And the guy at the mouth of the river says, I'm going to put a dam up and I'm going to divert all the water onto my ranch. And then I'm going to go at the bottom of the ranch, I'm going to divert it back into the river. And you don't have any water anymore. The ranch on the other side, no water. Crops curl up, burn up, cattle die, no water. Unless you give me blank, blank, blank. And that could be goods, it could be money, it could be an understanding that they want, whatever it is. So we're holding the water ransom in order to get something done. When in past years, over the 300 years up until this point, it had always been, listen, there's a problem with the river. Let's just work together to get the water flowing and get everybody paid, keep everyone's ranch open. and then we'll figure out the difference. Let's agree to get to the bargaining table. This is what the policy has been during shutdowns. There have been many other shutdowns. This is not the first time it's happened. This is the longest time so far. But there have been many other shutdowns that have occurred. But as honorable men and women, we met at the table and said, look, let's open the river up. Let's both of us work together to get the trees during the tornado that fell and clogged the river. Whatever it is, let's get the water flowing again and make this right for our young American men and women that are defending this country. Let's do the necessary things to make the skies safe. The Democrats have attached, oh, by the way, since we're opening the water back up, the only way we're going to allow the water to flow is if you give us blank, blank, blank. That's not what's been done in the past. We have all agreed that it's ridiculous to stop American servicemen and women from getting paid and their families. It is wrong to penalize those that keep the skies safe. This is complete bullshit. So what we'll do is we'll do a campaign of Schiff and this one and Pelosi and you name them, Schumer, and they're all going to say the Democrats are for opening it up, but the Republicans won't say yes to, because what you're not getting enough attention to is that they've added a bunch of stipulations about Medicare being open to foreigners that aren't citizens that are illegally here. Why? Because getting this very important to them bill passed will allow these people to stay here, will allow these people to continue to kiss the ass of the Democratic Party and become registered voters, which will change and shape the American electorate for 50 years. It would take 50 years to recover from what this policy would do. And it has nothing, it has absolutely nothing to do with funding our American servicemen and women, with protecting the airplanes that are in the skies and the foreigners that come through the airports with TSA and a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other people that are wrongfully been dismissed, just kicked to the side by the Democratic Party. We have always said, both sides, let's just pass this to fund everybody, and then let's sit down and see if we can't work this out. And you can take weeks, months, or whatever you want to, but don't not pay these people. Don't not make this country unsafe. Why? Because this is an agenda-driven idea while you're being bombarded with people that are screaming at the top of their lungs about how the Republicans have prevented. That's not true. That is not true. They attached a bunch of stuff to it and are saying, we're causing the shutdown. The Republicans are causing the shutdown. They are not. They are not causing the shutdown. The Democrats have a gun to the Republicans' head, and they're going to the press with their agenda-driven press, CNN, and don't get me wrong. Again, I'm one of the only people you're ever going to hear that's going to tell you Fox supports the Republicans. There are other outlets that support the Republicans, just like there are for CNN and MSNBC and people that kiss the ass of the Democratic Party. Same thing for the Republicans. They have their shills. They have their people out there that they manipulate, that they have. God bless you, I admit it. Will you hear anybody admit that in the Democratic Party? Will you hear, excuse me, let me ask you this. Let me challenge any Democrat out there. Any one of you out there, come online and say, yep, that's what we did. We want to get this bill passed so bad, we're willing to shut down and make some people suffer while we blame it on the Republicans. Tell the truth. Come on up. Come on up and say, this was a ploy that we did. It was a brilliant strategy. We've got a lot of people believing, guess what? There's Democrats in the House rolling over right now going, yeah, I don't think this is right. I mean, there's some diehards in there that aren't going to give up the cookies in the cookie jar. They know that if they can use this, they may change who becomes president and what party wins the election for several elections, Because the sad thing is, the poor foreigners that got here, that were bussed in, they're under the impression that they can sustain this. It's funny, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's an African-American, and I said, the African-American community has just about been forgotten now. With the injustices and things that have been done to the African-American men and women in this country for hundreds of years, And guess what? The new play is the Hispanic, the people from our border in Mexico, people from Central America, people from South America. Let's focus on them. And we have long forgotten all of the promises that the Democratic Party made. All of the promises, election after election after election, of what they're going to do for the poor African American that was overlooked. And it was, these are people that were ripped from the arms of their families from the shorelines of countries in Africa, thrown into the hull of a ship that was a shithole, thrown in there for 3 months to take the voyage. And only the strongest and biggest and baddest that could endure that trip, only to be enslaved and separated from their families again in different houses. And I mean, it's unbelievable. And guess what? We're gonna help the African. Lyndon Johnson, after Kennedy, with all the stuff that happened in the civil rights movement and all through the 70s and then the 80s. What real change has occurred? What real change has occurred even after Barack Obama, a 2-term African-American president? Did Barack Obama make that big a difference to the lives of the African-American in the U.S.? I mean, a great thing to finally have an African-American president. If I'm an African-American person and citizen for this country, I'm quite proud of that accomplishment. But your day-to-day life, did it change much having this guy as president? Shit, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And I can go on and on and on and on and tell you why. And I can, till I'm red in the face, how the Republican Party was formed to abolish slavery. How about, and I just, the Hispanics, the Latinos, the Spanish-speaking citizens and non-citizens of this country, as soon as they're done with you, you'll be done. You'll no longer be, and they'll train you as certain white groups have been trained, as certain African-American groups have been trained, and so will the Latinos be trained to vote a certain way. And statistics show that you will continue like your mother and fathers for generations to vote that way. That's what they're banking on. That's what the shutdown is all about. Listen to me carefully. The shutdown is a war right now for control of the Electoral College. The shutdown, say it again, the shutdown is a war for control of the Electoral College for 50 years. That's how long. All of those young Latinos that came into Pennsylvania, Ohio, that are taking over certain towns, overwhelming the budgets of towns because they all need federal help. And Trump turned around and said, hey, listen, we're not saying you can't come, but what do I say to all the people that took 10 years of being here to establish themselves, to go through the paperwork, to register, to inoculate, to do whatever the requirements were in your state or your county or your district? What do I tell them that you get to come and I give you all this stuff when there's people that are already Americans, when there's U.S. servicemen and women that can't get a good bed in a hospital, veterans that defended our country that are not well, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, psychologically? I can't get them the coverage that they need, but I'm going to take you and 2 kids, and don't get me wrong, I want you and your 2 kids to come to America and pursue the dream as many of your ancestors have. Southern California has a huge population of people that are Latinos that come from Mexico and come from Central America. I have many that are my friends. So what do you say to those people's families that got in line, that filled out all the paperwork, that signed all the contracts, that waited for the process, that did the interviews, and are now citizens, that have rights as Americans? They're going to be able to retire and collect benefits. And I'm worried about them. I'm worried about the people that are already generational Americans that can't get the things that they need. And I'm going to allow the Democrats to buy your vote. Come to America, and we're going to give you all this stuff. Just remember who gave it to you, and vote Democrat. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Forget about all the other shit that you're being told. That's the bottom line, and that's what it's about. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing nobody say it. Nobody wants to say. The Republicans don't want to come right out, because both sides play these kinds of games. Both sides play these kinds of games. But the Democrats definitely are adding these stipulations onto this bill to not stop this shutdown. They could end the shutdown now and do what's been done historically, which is vote with the conscience that our American servicemen and women need to be paid. And there's certain essential workers that we need to make sure we're protecting everyone's security, the skies. You want planes to start dropping in cities? That's what's going to happen. Then we're all going to say, I wish we would have seen this coming. It's coming. I saw a group of people online. They were stewardesses from, I won't mention the airline, but they were stewardesses from a very big airline. And they said, don't fly right now. You shouldn't fly right now. It's really dangerous. There are certain checkpoints and things that are not being done. They're cutting corners because they don't have the staff. Some of those essential workers that we're talking about are the people that inspect the planes, are the people that work on the mechanics that work on them. They're all in a slowdown right now. They can't get paid. Hospitals, essential workers keeping you alive. Your mother goes into the hospital and she's really sick, your wife, and they don't have the right staff. They don't have the necessary bodies that are being paid. And so it's not as good a care as it used to be. So there's stuff that's happening. We're going to start to feel the crunch and the consequences, all because the Democrats are hiding. They're hiding. They're hiding behind the fact that they've added some of these clauses in to try to protect the people they've already smuggled into the country, to make them eligible to vote in 2028 and change what happens in the election. That's what it's about, period. That's what it's about. So, dear Lord, thank you for your protection, your protective hand that you put over and guide my life with, God. And we love you, we praise you, and we pray to you every day. And today, Lord, I am asking you, please let cooler heads prevail on this shutdown, Lord. And don't let Americans suffer the carnage that we're facing right now due to an agenda-driven vote. Let's get this passed, and then let's sit down as honorable men and women with your vision and your guidance, Lord, to try to put a permanent end so we don't have to ever shut down again. But let this shutdown end, Lord. Please let people in Washington understand what's it. Or Lord, help the people have a voice. Help the people here listening to this show send emails or comments that could possibly let our elected officials know how we feel about how bad this shutdown is, Lord. In your name we pray, amen. So praying for everybody involved in Congress, praying for us as citizens that we don't suffer any grave consequences as a result of the shutdown. But it's time to end it. It's time to pass something that allows us to pay our necessary workers, in particular our military men and women. What a crime that hasn't been taken care of. So that's my opinion on the shutdown. That's what's happening here on the Daniel Baldwin Show. I will talk to you in a couple of days. God bless you.